All right, welcome back everyone to episode 5 of the Roommates podcast. I'm Michael. That's my roommate or former roommate Aiden.
Oh, man, come on.
Roommates for life type
Hey,
shit.
hopefully.
Um, so today, we kind of like the our plan for our platform is to talk about maybe recent events and then also talk about other things in the bigger, kind of political field. So I think what we first wanted to start off with was masks. Like, so a lot of people have been there's a huge controversy about around masks, like whether it's like a breach of someone's rights to be forced to wear one. Um, and I know other people have voiced their concerns, and like a lot of people are getting coronavirus. Everyone should want to, like, as a like empathetic kind of notion. So yeah, I think that's what we wanted to discuss first, right?
Yeah. So, I guess to start off, I mean, it's. There's been like a scientific consensus that masks are, they help in like the prevention of spread. So I think saying masks are ineffective, I think that's kind of out the window. Like I think we can both agree, and if you don't agree with that, I strongly urge you to. There's plenty of studies out. The CDC. I don't know if they link their studies, but I know I read one from like Johns Hopkins or something talking about how different masks reduce the spread. But it is pretty universally accepted that they have helped, and they do help. But I guess can it be mandated on everyone to wear it while being outside? My stance is yes.
Okay.
I think there's plenty of instances, today that have just been normalized. For example, no shoes, no shoes, no shirt, no service. You could view that as being an infringement upon your rights. Like you have a right to wear whatever. But nowhere in our Constitution or nowhere in our laws does it say that you have the right to do whatever you want. I guess you have. I don't within legal some legal parameters, like you have the right to do what you want if it only affects yourself. But in regards to masks, it's been proven that it helps. It helps for everyone, including yourself, in regards to coronavirus. That's my take on it.
So your stance is that everyone should wear their masks, like
Yeah,
or whenever they're out in the public.
Yeah, I think everyone should.
And you think the government should?
I think
Like
they
you
should.
think they have the right to make everyone wear a mask?
Yeah, I think they should, and that it's completely within their legal parameters to do so. I know it's become something that's been pretty political, and I was talking to my dad about this yesterday during the 1918 Spanish flu outbreak, or during the Spanish flu. This same problem was around. Masks were politicized. But I guess 1918 is a little bit older than anyone that's probably alive today, with an exception of a few people. So I guess not a lot of people would remember that. But even then, the consensus was that masks help, and that by not wearing the masks, it kind of prolonged it. So I don't know. What's your take on it, though?
My take on it is that okay. So ultimately, I do think that everyone should wear their mask. I think it's more of like it should be more of a moral thing. Like morally, you should want to wear your mask to help stop the spread of coronavirus. My thing is my kind of shift kind of comes when like the government, like people saying like the government should intervene and like force people to wear masks. So on one hand, here's what I think, because on one hand it's like you don't want you want to stop the spread because a lot of people are getting affected, not just in the U.S. but the entire world. So you'd want to stop it, and like that's like the logical like way of thinking. Like obviously you're gonna want people to wear the mask. The other hand, it's like I do understand when people say like it's kind of a breach of like the rights of the government to force them to wear their mask. Like, you know what I mean? Like I disagree with it, but I think I shouldn't be forced to wear a mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, going when you're talking about morals, like yes, I wish that everyone had the morals, the kind of like American collectivity to like care about each other and care about each other enough to wear part of a fucking mask. Like it's a
Yeah.
mask, and
Yeah.
like it tremendously helps. So I wish that was enough, but I mean, as we're seeing right now with this immense pushback,
Hmm.
people don't have that. I mean, we value like individualism more than I would rather be comfortable, not wear a mask, be free to breathe,
Yeah.
whatever the reason is, than to help prevent this spread. So I think I wish it was like that. I wish everyone had the morals. I think it's very sad that we don't. But I think unfortunately we shown right now this is the time when the government needs to stomp, I guess, these personal liberties that
Hmm.
are non-existent under the law um, and enforce everyone to wear a mask. Because I mean, it's something that like, I mean, if you're gonna look at things short term and long term, like long term, it's just gonna be dragged on for longer, and your personal liberties are gonna be, I mean, and these are the same people that are saying that like, oh, we need to open up, our businesses, our economy again.
Yeah.
But also
That.
on the same page, saying that, oh, we don't need to worry about the virus. Like, it's one or the other there. Like, you gotta, you can't just be, like, it exists, and I think everyone can agree on that. Or I hope
Yeah.
everyone should.
Not even everyone, but yeah, that's the craziest
That's
part.
that's the craziest part. The fact that I don't know. I think it's a very vocal minority. Like,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I also think the large I think it's also like a huge age thing. Like a lot of older people refuse to wear masks. And it's also, I was actually doing research about this for this writing assignment that I have, but
Yeah.
those same like older people, like the baby boomers, they're most likely more likely than other age groups to be conservative too. So I think in a lot of ways that's actually like pretty linked. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has become very. Got to get my chapstick.
all right, hold on. All right, hold on,
Right.
everyone.
I mean, it has become very politicized, which is kind of sad. Like when you look at these other countries that were able to, like every other country, minus a few. I mean, we're right now it's just us in the third world countries. There's not really any developed industrialized countries that are still struggling with coronavirus. And I mean, this had like when you look at them, all they did was they trusted their government,
Hmm.
and they did what they were supposed to do. And I mean, they didn't politicize it.
But
They did it.
do you trust our government? You think?
Um. Well, I think that like trusting our government's a big part. Like, I mean, if our government was trustworthy, I feel weird saying this, but
Yeah.
I guess the better way to say that was trust the scientific consensus and trust
Yeah,
science.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And like trust the fellow man, because like with the mask thing, it really only works if everyone's doing it.
Hmm.
Um. So
I don't know. I don't think honestly in the future I don't see everyone like like being okay to like wearing a mask. I think the only thing that'll happen that'll change the whole outcome right now is if a vaccine comes out.
well, but okay. So here's a little like a thought experiment. I mean, you stop at red lights, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, what would you think of a world where we had no stop signs, no, traffic? What are those? What are those called?
Traffic lights.
Traffic lights.
Yeah.
What would you think of a world like that?
What? But like
I mean,
that's
but
kind of.
like,
I mean that's it.
I mean,
Like I
like
understand.
you
I
could
understand the
have
point
your
you're
own
making.
you could have your own personal liberty to, drive wherever you wanted. Ignore your fellow man. But I mean, the traffic lights are there for like a collective goal to make sure everyone's safe.
But that's a different thing. I feel like
Why is that different though?
because traffic lights, like when you get your license, you know the rules. Like you have to follow those rules. Like when you get it's like it's not a I forgot what it's called.
Well,
I
but
forgot
I'm
what the
saying
word is.
okay, but like a driver's license, like why
Well,
should you have to
rule.
have why should you have to have a driver's license to drive a car?
Okay, I see what you mean. I mean, there's a logical reason why, but like I get the point like you're trying to make.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like the logical reason is the same applies to masks though.
I see that.
Like
Yeah.
it's to promote this collectivity and this group safety.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Like in this freelance world, we'd be able to do whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted, for whatever reason.
Hmm.
but the government promotes like the general good, you know, and like I think masks is well within the general good, as with a lot of things like dress code, driver's license. I think vaccines should be.
You think those should be
I
mandatory?
think certain vaccines, yeah,
Mhm.
for certain well, with few exceptions.
I
Um,
think I don't know. Honestly, that's a pretty hard one too. I think I don't think they should be mandatory. But okay, like in general, I don't think they should be mandatory. But like, let's say like for coming onto like a campus, like you have to get. You know what I mean? Like if a place requires you to get a vaccine, you should have to get it. Like you know how like you know how in Santa Cruz like we all have to get our shots before we like enter the school.
yeah, but like, why not? Why not doing anything? Like,
But the only reason why I think that is like the school it's like it is like its own kind of like property thing. You know what I mean? Like if you want to live on that property, you want to like educate yourself there. Like you should have to. But like if you're
same with the
not,
United
I don't.
States though. Like,
What do you mean?
if you want to live in the United States, you have to follow the rules. Like, I mean, there's like a social code that we sign into when we're born here, and we like choose this place to be our like.
I don't get that point. Like what do you mean?
By living here, you have to follow like a certain set of rules.
Like the law? You mean?
Right, the law.
But you're not breaking a law. Like I don't like
Well, I
getting a
mean,
vaccine. I feel like that should be a choice. I
well,
think
but
when I get a vaccine.
I'm just using like your logic when you're saying that like if you're gonna live on campus, like you should
Because
have
that's
to.
like a but that's different because like a restaurant for example like like let's go back to the mask for example like you know with people who refuse to wear masks you know how restaurants are like you have to wear a mask to enter.
Yes. Yeah.
That has to be followed because that's like their own um I can't think of the word to say like that's like their own property, that's like their restaurant,
Yeah,
they
just
own it,
private
so they can
property.
control who comes in and out. That's how I feel about that's what I was talking about with the UC, like that's their property, like if you want to come you have to like follow those rules. But it's your choice not to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean once again, I would agree with you to an extent, and I think that goes back to when I was talking about like this individualism versus like collectivity.
Hmm.
If like these viruses only affected an individual, like let's say if we were talking about uh like um getting like a heart transplant for like any sort of heart ailment, like yeah, that should
Hmm.
be up to you. Like you shouldn't have to get a heart transplant. Like that's ridiculous. But if we're talking about like the flu, where like unfortunately if you get the flu, whether or not I have like if I have the vaccine for that year, I still have a higher chance of getting it. So it's like it's sort of like herd. Do you know about herd like immunity almost? Well, I
Like
guess
what?
herd immunity doesn't really apply, but just like group immunity.
Like what do you mean?
So like
I'm not right following.
immunity is kind of like if everyone has the vaccine, there's so much less of a chance of everyone getting it. So
Yeah.
that like as a group we are all safer.
Hmm.
And I mean vaccines
Um.
work as that. So I think when it becomes like when it comes to like promoting group, and I think this goes to an extent, like I think there are certain vaccines everyone should get, like the flu, like measles, like these really
Yeah.
like infectious uh not disease, like viruses.
Viruses. Yeah.
um I think everyone
But
should be
why do you?
required to get that.
But then what about the like? What vaccines do you think are not should not be required? Like why is it? You know what I mean? Like what viruses would people not get?
I mean, like I'm sure like this is a conversation we could have like a
Because all viruses are bad for everyone. Like why would you choose like you know a certain
well, but like ones that
yeah.
are like super deadly each year and that are easily preventable. Like I mean, we have like a vaccine that's like it depends on the year, but it like the flu
Mm.
vaccine each year is relatively very good, but yet like 200,000 plus people die every year from like a relatively preventable disease. And I'd be
So
lucky to or not, I wouldn't be lucky. I'd be interested to look at the numbers and see. I don't think there are any numbers regarding this, but like what percentage of those people were vaccinated and got it from someone who was unvaccinated.
yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
But that's
But I
besides
mean,
the
like
point.
all viruses kill a number of people though. That's like
Right, but
So you,
is any decrease like not worth it?
but I mean, I'm just saying, using your logic, that means everyone should get every vaccine.
Well,
Because it's like with a group thing, like if everyone gets the vaccine, everyone is more safe.
well,
So,
I think there should be some exceptions. Like I know, like specifically, a lot of people are scared right now for. Like I saw this article the other day that was like some states might be requiring people to get the coronavirus vaccine when it comes out.
mhm.
I don't want to get the coronavirus vaccine right as it comes out
You want to
because,
wait?
well, these vaccines go through years and years of testing and just manipulations until they're perfect. And
Yeah.
for a virus to like being developed like immediately, I don't want to take that. So I think in instances like that, I don't think you should be required to take a vaccine. I mean, there's so much distrust under the administration. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 weeks before the election, a virus or like a vaccine just appears.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like I feel like that's the logic everyone has for just vaccines in general. Like,
Yeah, and I'm saying
you know
like
what I mean?
I'm saying there should be exceptions. Like for the coronavirus, I can understand like why people are skeptical, but like
Hmm.
for things like the flu vaccine, the measles vaccine, like
Hmm.
I mean these things have been. Yeah, like to a certain extent you should trust like the scientific community and like their research.
Okay, here's why I stand on it because I agree with you honestly, like on the points you're making, but I'm like for the most part I'm just playing devil's advocate,
No, I get
and
I get
I
that.
yeah, and I like honestly like I understand where people are coming from, like I think it's dumb, like I like I don't know, I think it's dumb, but I also understand the reasoning behind it, like like obviously no one trusts the government, right? Like in U.S. patriotism or whatever has like died down. It's like not really a thing. There's a lot of distrust amongst um I mean like citizens to the government. Like most people distrust the government. I think that's like a fair
Yeah.
statement to say. So I think with stuff like that, especially stuff you have to with vaccines, you have to inject into like your own child and stuff like that. Like I feel like people can make a fair point like as to why they don't want to have a vaccine, and I think it's like a pretty valid point. Like for the flu and measles and stuff like that, like I understand. Like I think like it's just something that you can't force on someone to do, and I understand the whole group immunity thing. Like that makes sense to me, but it's also like I just don't like I don't like the idea of like forcing people to do like something, you know. It's unfortunate that like what the results will be, obviously, but it's like even with the coronavirus, like we don't like obviously like thinking about a vaccine, like oh it's obviously gonna like save more people and stuff like that, but also we don't know what's in the vaccine, what could happen to people and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I mean
uh,
I think the important thing to mention is that the mandatory part is for people not like us, but for people that won't be getting it. I don't know, and I don't find their justification convincing enough. I don't know. I think if we're really gonna pick and choose what we decide to believe within the scientific community, I think there are much more questionable things that we are doing on a daily basis that
True.
should be given
True.
like I yeah, and I mean I think to a certain, there's a reason why human life has like the human life expectancy has increased so much because of modern medicine,
Hmm.
and there is no reason to believe within the last 10 years or however long this big conspiracy has been going on for that all of a sudden the medical community and that the government they're all against us and they all want to inject microchips into our I don't understand where this is
Hmm.
coming from, and I think to a certain extent I can understand some of the skepticism, but I think
Hmm.
without doing a lot of research, can you really draw any reasonable conclusions that would somehow?
I think there has been some data like out though. I don't know if I'm not I haven't like 100% like researched into it and stuff like that, but I feel like there has been some like findings and stuff like that. So you're saying
Regarding what
so let's
specifically, though?
like stuff in like the stuff in vaccines, like you know what I
Well,
mean? Like
there was the vaccines cause autism.
oh yeah, I don't think I believe that. That
Well, I mean,
sounds
it's
stupid.
been disproven. Well, I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, people want to latch on to one specific finding that's catchy. Like, God, wouldn't it be
Hmm.
so interesting to find out that the government is conspiring against all of us? And and
Yeah.
blah blah. Like that's exciting to hear, and people want to hear that. Versus just vaccines help. They help prevent preventable diseases. You know, it's like people want to hear the exciting stuff versus the boring.
The
You know,
factual. I mean, honestly, I don't really know if vaccines are 100% good, so I can't really say anything, but
well, I'm not gonna say 100% good, but I think even considering like the side effects, I think like unless like the virus is detrimental to my child's health, I think I will 100% give my child the vaccines in order to prevent him from these preventable deaths. Because I mean, like, even if it were to give my kid autism, I would rather have him have autism than for him to die at a young age because of the flu or because of any one of these other viruses that we've been studying and that we've had vaccines for hundreds of years. Like,
I kind of okay, I kind of see where you're coming from. Okay, but okay, so I see like how you kind of distrust the coronavirus thing because of like how fast it's being like made up. So is it like a thing of like how long it takes for it to be tested? Is that like your stance on it? Like if they like thoroughly go through the testing, you'll like willingly take it, or like what is it with you?
I don't, I'll have to look into it.
Hmm.
And I think that was kind of like a little overstatement to say I wouldn't take it.
Hmm.
Because I'm sure that if it's released to the public, I don't know. I trust my government enough. That hurt to say, but I trust my government enough to like, within a
Yeah.
reasonable doubt, make sure it's safe. I would
But
look into it.
they also do go through like the phases, right? Like so I think they have like 3 or 4 phases, something like that.
No, I mean it is like a crazy amount of
Test it.
phases. I'm just
Yeah.
saying if one like spontaneously comes up, like I've been
Mm-hmm.
following this one vaccine that's in its second like stage of trial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was I don't like some low amount of number. Now it's on like 20 or 40,000. I don't remember the number. So
Yeah.
I've been following that. So I mean, if that one goes well, I would reasonably say that it helps.
Mm-hmm.
But if some no name was like popped up and miraculously cured coronavirus, I don't know. I'd be a little skeptical. But
I think I'd be skeptical. Yeah.
skeptical, but I mean, eventually, I mean, like the thing is,
You
eventually,
understand
you and
why
I
people
would
are
take it.
skeptical. Yeah, but you understand. So I think you understand why people are skeptical for the most part, right? It's just like,
I would have to take it on a case by case basis, like why
Mhm.
people are skeptical. But I think the overgeneralized claim that vaccines are bad for you, the government is conspiring against you. It's just not based upon any facts. Like it's based. So like the thing with conspiracy, like they're based on like one singular fact, and then from there they branch off into these crazy.
yeah, like
And
theories
then
or
that's what
whatever.
makes it a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like the one little fact can be explained hundreds of other ways, but just they find this other conspiracy that just makes it more interesting, and then the people that want to think the government is bad will just believe it. So what I've seen so far, I haven't, I have no reason to believe it. This microchipping, the autism causing, or the vaccines causing autism.
Yeah, I mean that one I 100% disagree with that one, but
Yeah, but like the thing is, people believed it. Like it's a huge.
yeah,
Like my mom
it
has
was a
people.
huge thing.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
my mom still has people come into her office every day and try to convince her that like vaccines cause autism because this one disavowed doctor that did some horrible study on a horrible sample size
Mm-hmm.
and then just decided that vaccines cause autism. I don't.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little. I don't know. I'd be very interested to see like some convincing reasons on why not to vaccinate
Mm-hmm.
your kids on like the flu.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. We kind of got all the way from masks to vaccines because I kind of gave a weird example, but like
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, but
yeah, I totally forgot.
it's kind of like the same. It's kind of like the same
They're
thing,
pretty
like
connected, yeah.
in the sense of like, would you? Let's say the government forcing you to do something, and whether people should have the right to refuse it.
Yeah, and I think
Pretty much.
like what you were saying. I hope that everyone has the morals,
Yeah.
but people don't. And
Yeah, and it's like
it's detrimental to everyone at that point.
I agree.
So, I mean, if there was like this if we could send everyone to Alaska, and if you just don't want to fucking vaccinate your kids, or you don't want to wear a mask, or you don't want to,
I go to
just
go to
go to
Alaska.
Alaska. You know, do your shit up
Yeah.
there. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be all down with that. But I mean, we can't. So like, you can't legislate stupid.
True, yeah. That was a good quote. Can't legislate stupid. Um, yeah, all right, so to top it all off, to end to wrap it up, so what is your closing argument or your closing stance?
Wear your mask. It shouldn't have gotten to the point where the government has to mandate it. I mean, even if it is the government, I don't know. I'd be interested to find the clause in our constitution or any Supreme Court decision. I know they just had a case down in L.A. County in Long Beach where they decided that wearing a mask or mandating a mask isn't an infringement upon your First Amendment right. Like where freedom of speech fits into your wearing a mask, I have no idea. But I'd be very interested to see where it is, and I know it can be painful or it can seem like it's an infringement upon some hypothetical right, but it just isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
hey, challenge, find one, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Either way,
Maybe.
just wear a
We'll
mask.
see.
Or just wear a mask. I mean, like,
Yeah, I think my ending opinion is I think for the most part, I think everyone should wear a mask. I think it should be a moral thing to want to wear a mask to, stop the spread of the coronavirus. If you want to go out and party and work and like do all the things you love again,
not. Oh, I was gonna
wear
say.
a
I
mask.
thought you were gonna say you want to go out and party, wear a mask. I was like, no, don't. Mike, what the fuck?
No. If you want to eventually go back to that life that we had, you should wear a mask now. Like you should want to wear a mask. For those of you people who think it's an infringement of their rights to not wear a mask, I understand where you're coming from. I see why like you would think that like logically like it makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
then again, if you want to stop the spread, you know what you have to do. It's not like you can't not wear your mask and then expect coronavirus to disappear the next day. So do with what we said. I don't know.
Amen.
Hopefully someone decides to wear a mask after
Hey.
watching us. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of this episode. I'm Michael with my co-host Aiden. This is the 5th episode. All right, thank you everyone.
Number
Have
5.
a good day.
All right, have a good
Number
day.
5. Yeah.
Much love.